Alright, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from Street Scores coming with a Rico report. Gotta talk about everything discussed in today's press conferences and any other random news that came up. A lot of very important quotes said today from Terry McLaurin, Scott Turner, Kelvin Harmon, Kyle Allen, and more. No need to waste time. We're gonna go ahead and get to it. First up, make sure y'all subscribe to the channel for more content. Hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get a notification immediately and every time I release an informative video like this one, every time I start up a live stream, every time I release one of my film sessions. Also, check out the rest of the channel. All of my videos are organized in playlists. I even have a comedy playlist for all of my funny videos, so make sure you check out all of the content and stay tuned. Without further ado, let's get it. Alright, first up is Terry McLaurin, because this was the most interesting quote to me from the entire day. Terry McLaurin said he trained with Doug Baldwin over the offseason and they worked on his releases. He said, quote, "If I can win at the line, that definitely gives me an advantage, and that's definitely something I wanted to hone in on this year." And man, Terry McLaurin with an even better release is literally unstoppable. I mean, even thinking about Terry McLaurin being even better than he's been these past 2 years is just amazing in itself. I mean, you have people like Chad Johnson, who is arguably one of the best route runners ever, one of the best technicians at the receiver position ever, and he loves Terry McLaurin. I mean, these Hall of Famers, these greats, don't just hand out compliments for no reason. They mean it when they love a player. When they just really are infatuated with a guy's game, there's a reason behind it. Terry McLaurin has received praise from some of the greats, and the idea of him getting better is just unfair now. And it's perfect too, because him working with Doug Baldwin, that's like a great comp. I feel like Terry McLaurin definitely has a higher ceiling and is gonna definitely be better than Doug Baldwin. But the things that Doug Baldwin is already great at, already nuanced with, you add that to Terry McLaurin's game and he's gonna be unstoppable. Potentially top 10 receiver. And also, with the quarterback situation he's had the past 2 years, especially last year with Alex Smith having, I believe, like the 35th ranked QBR in the NFL, Dwayne Haskins the 37th. It's only 32 teams in the NFL, y'all. Like, that is ridiculous. So Terry McLaurin's going from one of the worst QB situations in Washington football team history, in NFL history, honestly. I mean, 2 guys outside of the top 32, like, come on now, to potentially one of the best this franchise has had in a long time. Speaking of this franchise's quarterbacks, Terry McLaurin said that it's starting to feel more natural with Ryan Fitzpatrick, and they're communicating quite a bit. So now it's less introductory things. Now it's less starting to get to know each other, chemistry type of things. They're starting to get on the same page, and that's great to hear because it's very early. OTAs is very early to be on the same page with a recently signed quarterback. Granted, Ryan Fitzpatrick is a big-time veteran. He's used to going from team to team, being a nomad, and figuring things out quickly, gaining rapport with the receiving corps there and things like that. He knows the exact steps it takes for them to get on page. But still, I mean, at OTAs, that's pretty crazy that Terry McLaurin already feels like things are starting to become natural to where they're thinking less and they're doing more. That's great. We still have mandatory mini camps, training camp, and preseason to hone in on all of that, and they're already off to a great start. Definitely ahead of schedule. McLaurin also said having more players with pedigree won't matter if they don't go out and make plays. McLaurin said, quote, "You have to do it to earn respect in this league." So I agree. We have all of these guys. We're putting together this great roster. This offense looks far more explosive and more efficient on paper going into this next season than it has the past couple of years. But like Terry McLaurin says, it doesn't matter until we go out there and prove it. Defenses aren't going to respect us until we give them a reason to respect us. They're not going to double team McLaurin and make sure they watch out for Curtis Samuel, Diami, Antonio Gibson, all of our other weapons, and respect Ryan Fitzpatrick's arm until we go out there and show that they need to. Just like even last year, Chase Young wise. Chase Young did not see a double team in that first game against the Eagles until after halftime. And then from there on, for the rest of the season, teams were double teaming them. But the league was like, hey, Chase Young, you're going to have to show us that you're worthy of all of this praise and hype that you're receiving. He went out there and showed it in the first half against the Eagles and was getting double teamed, even triple teamed at times by teams for the rest of the season. And Terry McLaurin is basically saying the offense has to do the equivalent of that. Next up, Scott Turner at the podium. And man, he dropped some gems today, some things that got me really excited. First of all, most importantly, he said, quote, We just need to be more explosive. We need to create more big plays, and if we do that, everything else kind of takes care of itself. And I agree, man. We have to get more explosive plays. And I did a whole video breaking down why this offense will potentially be the most explosive in the NFL, even more explosive than the Chiefs and a lot of these other great high-flying offenses. And I give y'all all of the advanced analytics and everything behind it and prove my case. But at the end of the day, that's all on paper. Now, granted, we're coming from a situation where you can't do anything but do better than what we had last season, the past 2 seasons, really. Like, you literally can't get any worse. But still, we expect far more out of this offense than what we've been getting the past couple of years. Not necessarily Scott Turner's fault, but he also has to be better on his end. But most importantly, the players got to go out there and do it. I mean, the quarterback has to quarterback, the receivers have to do receiver things, offensive line has to be great and consistent, stable, and the running backs have to come out and anchor it all. But most importantly, like Scott Turner said, we need more chunk plays and more big plays, because if you think about it, putting together 10 to 15 play drives consistently is very hard to do. Nobody does that. The Chiefs don't do that. The Packers don't do that. The best offenses in the league, they're able to score so consistently and put up a great points per game average because they're able to get big chunk plays, explosive plays. I mean, you got to get those 60-yard bombs every now and then. You have to hit in that 20 to 80-yard range and chunk plays far more often than we've been doing in the past, not even just 2 years, but just in general, especially since Deshaun Jackson and Pierre Garçon days. Is incredibly difficult and literally impossible to ask an offense to consistently score on 10 to 15 play drives. Again, even the greatest offenses in the NFL don't do that. You have to get these chunk plays, first of all, to make a defense respect you. Instead of playing 8 or more in the box, if you're out here getting chunk plays, they have to delegate more resources to stopping deep throws and chunk yardage plays and things like that. And that thins a defense out, which allows you to run the ball more and be more balanced as an offense just in general. So the key to the game, we have to be more explosive than we've been. Also, Scott Turner said on Washington's quarterback situation last year we played 4. I'd like not to do that again. And of course, I mean, we all feel the same. We do not want to have to play 4 quarterbacks this upcoming season. I'm hoping 2 max between Ryan Fitzpatrick and Taylor Heinicke. Best case scenario, only 1, but I already know that's not very realistic to expect of this team. But I think they can do better than 4. Also, Scott Turner said that the backup QB job is very important, and he cited the 2 things he's looking for that he's mentioned multiple times in the past, and that's good decision making and accuracy. So expect whoever's going to be the 2nd and 3rd string quarterbacks to be good decision makers and accurate. Doesn't sound much like Kyle Allen or Steven Montez to me, but we'll see. Definitely sounds like Taylor Heinicke though. Scott Turner also said that Sammis Reyes is making progress despite the drops that we've seen recently, but there's notable progress. He does not look like the same Sammis Reyes that signed with the team a few weeks ago. He also commented on the fact that North Turner has been at practices. He said that it's great to have his dad back and wish that he even had him sometimes last year. And it's basically looking like North Turner is playing the same role like Mike Shanahan did to Kyle Shanahan, where he's not necessarily on the payroll, but he's there to help wherever he needs to, and I love that. I'll take it. I'll take whatever North Turner is offering. Next up, we have Cole Holcomb. He has some interesting things to say. First of all, he said that the Washington football team defense has to have a dog mentality, and he feels like he held his own versus man coverage last year versus tight ends, and I agree. Wasn't great, but it was way better than when we first drafted him. And if he stays on that same trajectory and getting better and better, I'm expecting him to play an important role this year. And I feel like Jamin Davis is easily going to be the best linebacker in our linebacker core moving forward. But I feel like Cole Holcomb will be a nice Robin to Jamin Davis's Batman. And I feel like they can end up making a really nice linebacker duo. I'm expecting a lot out of Khaleke Hudson and Shaka Toney to step up and potentially contribute as outside linebackers as well, more specifically Sam linebacker. But last year we were in nickel 60% of the time or more, which means only 2 linebackers on the field. So if we can get greatness out of Jamin Davis and Cole Holcomb, we're about to show out. Also, I like what Cole Holcomb said about how the Washington football team's offense provides a good test in practice. And he feels Logan Thomas is becoming one of the better tight ends in the NFL. I agree. But the most important part of this is that the offense is so explosive, it's so good, it's now so efficient and consistent that it's making our defense better, and vice versa. Our defense, being potentially the best defense in the NFL, has to make our offense better. Our offensive line, our receivers, as far as learning how to separate, our quarterbacks as far as decision making and knowing how to beat a potentially great secondary, to have that internal clock against one of the best, if not the best defensive lines in the NFL, learning to get a natural feel for when the pass rush is going to get there, having eyes in the back of your head, the running backs gaining better vision and learning how to cut better against, again, one of the best defensive lines in the NFL, if not the best. They're making each other better. And again, with this offense having so much speed, potentially being the most explosive in the NFL, if the defense learns how to shut that down, they can shut down anything. So I love that quote. That's probably my favorite quote of this entire day, of this entire video. The offense is making the defense better, and the defense is certainly making the offense better. I mean, until Ron Rivera get here, our practices just weren't looking very competitive. I just didn't necessarily feel like they were making each other better per se, or bringing out the best in each other. I mean, of course, when you practice, by default, you're going to be better than before you practice. But I truly feel like this offense is bringing the best out of this defense, and the defense is bringing the best out of this offense. Also, Cole Holcomb said about rookie first-round pick Jamin Davis, who I just spoke on. He said he's big, he's fast, he's strong. All things we know, but it's great to hear it from another linebacker, especially a fairly seasoned vet like Cole Holcomb. Speaking of Jamin Davis, I love the fact that Jack Del Rio is giving him a chance to learn the Mike linebacker role. More specifically, Ron Rivera and Del Rio have spoken about how they have Jamin Davis calling plays in the huddle right now, setting up the front, helping with the checks. That's a big responsibility. Learning that is one of the hardest things, if not the hardest thing to learn at being an off-ball linebacker. Being the quarterback of the defense, that's a huge adjustment going from college to the NFL level, especially for somebody like Jamin Davis, who only has 1 year of starting in college. There's going to be an adjustment period. That's why they're throwing him out there to learn it. We'll see by the time week 1 comes in the regular season if he's ready to handle those duties. If he's not, he'll just move to outside linebacker, which athleticism wise, I'm expecting him to excel at and potentially win Defensive Rookie of the Year. But if he can play Mike linebacker as well and call the plays, be the quarterback of the defense, oh, it's over with. This is the best defense in the NFL. And that's really Jon Bostic's only value. The fact that he knows how to call plays, he's very smart. He's just not very athletic. So you don't want him covering tight ends. You don't want him covering running backs. You don't want him covering receivers. You really don't want him stacking shedding. He's not very fast sideline to sideline like a Cole Holcomb is. Jon Bostic's main value to the team is the fact that he's able to be the quarterback of the defense. And if Jamin Davis can take that over, Jamin Davis would literally never not be on the field, no matter what the situation is. 1st and 10, 3rd and 13, 3rd and 1. Jamin Davis will be on the field with his athleticism, and if his mental processing and instincts and his IQ can catch up to his athleticism, oh, he's a future Pro Bowler, All-Pro any day. Next up, Kyle Allen. He said his goal is to be full go by training camp. He thinks that it's very doable, which implicates right now he's not full go. He's able to participate in practices every now and then, but he's not full go right now. He's not 100%. Remember, he broke his ankle last season, and he was determined to be on the field this spring, still has a slight limp, but he was upbeat about how he played before getting hurt, and he's very excited about the fact that he should be ready to go for training camp. I don't like him anywhere near as much as Ryan Fitzpatrick or Taylor Heineke, but he can definitely fight for that 3rd spot. It's going to be really difficult, though, because with them having Steven Montez in there, learning how to play special teams, potentially learning how to play like a Taysom Hill-like role, with him being so versatile, and with neither of them blowing any of us away with their passing ability, even though Kyle Allen is clearly ahead of Steven Montez in that category. But Steven Montez's versatility may be enough to dethrone Kyle Allen as that 3rd quarterback that makes the team. But who knows? Maybe Steven Montez is the practice squad guy and Kyle Allen is the 3rd quarterback. We'll see. But I feel like on game days, we'll probably only have 2 quarterbacks active, which will be Ryan Fitzpatrick and Taylor Heineke. But I think maybe Kyle Allen takes that 3rd quarterback spot on the 53-man roster. We'll see. Again, Steven Montez still has a good chance of dethroning him. Next up, Kelvin Harmon. Wide receiver, man, I'm really excited about Kelvin Harmon. I really hope he makes this team, because you could argue he had the best hands on this roster before he got hurt. And that's even including Terry McLaurin. And then with how physical he is, how great he is at blocking, him being a possession receiver, I feel like he has a nice niche that a lot of these other guys don't have. I mean, I love De'Ami Brown. I love Curtis Samuel. I love Terry McLaurin. I even really like Adam Humphries, and I like the potential of Dax Milne. I like what Cam Sims brings to the table. Antonio Gandy-Golden and Isaiah Wright also have a lot of potential. Steven Sims is still very quick, but nobody just really has that Kelvin Harmon mode where it's just an automatic catch no matter where you throw it to him, no matter how inaccurate the pass is. And then his ability to block very well as well. I think if he's able to stay fully healthy, I think he may make the team as one of the only 6 wide receivers out of all of the guys I named that will make the team. We'll see though. Nothing's a sure thing. I mean, especially since, if you're not drafted or signed by Ron Rivera, your job's never safe. But we'll see. But speaking of health, Kelvin Harmon said that he feels better and more explosive than before his knee surgery, which makes sense. A lot of guys come back from serious injuries with how futuristic our science is and how advanced our technologies are, that a lot of guys after surgery feel better, feel more explosive, quicker and faster than they did before they got hurt. So I'm not surprised. And if Kelvin Harmon is more explosive and faster and quicker than before his injury, with the sure hands I just talked about, with the physicality that he brings, oh yeah, he's gonna be one of these 6 receivers that makes the roster. What he already brings to the table and you add speed to that, oh yeah, Kelvin Harmon could potentially be one of the 4 best receivers on this team. And then he also talked about what it felt like when he tore his ACL. He said, my leg felt like somebody shot it 80 times. And man, I have personal friends that I know have torn their ACLs, and everybody says it's like some of the worst pain you could ever feel. It's crazy. And then lastly, Ron Rivera also said his famous quote that he keeps saying, be where your feet are. And this is just his recurring mantra. And I like how he's built the team around this mantra, especially with how much youth is around this roster. Basically, be where your feet are means players have to understand that they need to focus solely on what they can control while never getting too big. Be where your feet are. That motto has worked so far, and I expect it to keep working. And as long as players buy into that motto, this culture that Ron Rivera has instilled here, I'm expecting us to be one of those great franchises, one of those dynasties that's always in the playoff and Super Bowl contention for like the next 5-10 years, honestly. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please like this video if you liked it. If you learned anything, please subscribe. If you haven't, hit the bell next to the subscription button, again, like I said in the intro, so you get a notification every time I release an informative and opinionated video like this one, immediately when I release these videos. And also so you get a notification every time I schedule a live stream and start one up. And as always, man, I really appreciate all of the support, man. Shouts out to everybody that donates to the channel. Big shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors, whose names you see scrolling on the screen right now. And a special shouts out to my one All-Pro sponsor, Jaden. As always, man, I really appreciate all of the support. I'll catch y'all later. I'm out.